Solo Leveling Episode 11 is the best one so far, by a mile. The incredible display of action animation took me by surprise, and I had high expectations going into it. It was amazing. Let's break down the visuals. The episode was directed and storyboarded by Takayuki Kikuchi, who isn't exactly known for his action direction, or at least wasn't up until now. It featured a stacked lineup of key animators as well, including but not limited to Takafumi Tori and Yoshihiro Kanno. This episode was incredibly well directed and storyboarded. Kikuchi did a fantastic job, but good action storyboards don't mean much if the animation cannot keep up. Thankfully, that wasn't the case with this episode. The 2D animators held up their end of the bargain, and the 3D team knocked it out of the park. Of course, we'll go through these scenes in detail. Solo Leveling has used 3D backgrounds in the past, but the usage was far heavier this time around, which helped bring the dynamic storyboards to life. Let's go through this episode. Right off the bat, we get this amazing set of effects. The compositing is quite strong. The scene goes from one with an orange tone to one with a strong purple accent. The impact frame sequence here is so good. Also, they added a statue impact frame. I think that's what it is, which was a neat touch. Oh, and one more thing, Sung's character design. It's not very consistent, is it? It's probably hard to reinforce multiple iterations of the same design across multiple episodes. The CGI knights were decent. I don't think the show has used any foreground CGI up until now, which makes this interesting. Just in case you didn't know, armor is ridiculously difficult to draw, and Igris was fully 2D throughout. Give them a break. Also, the knights were occasionally 2D. The camera work was probably the star of the show, despite the insane animation. They used those 3D backgrounds for everything they were worth, and I'm not complaining. The dynamic nature of this episode was put on display even before the first strike was exchanged. A few smooth cuts here. The background is still 3D as far as I can tell, but the shading is hand-drawn. I can't praise the storyboards enough. Even a relatively simple shot like this looks great, thanks to the fisheye effect on the background and the handheld camera pan. This is one of my favorite cuts, be it the complex camera work or the well choreographed 2D animation. It's insanely ambitious. I can't tell what's going on with the background here. I know the pillars are hand animated with textures added on top, but I don't know what the floor is. It's probably CG. Anyway, they managed to choreograph a sequence where the character does something that makes sense. That's a rare thing. One of the best things about this segment was the amount of movement. Yes, we had a few of those static cuts, but most of the sequence was animated. Characters moved and they didn't hide behind close-ups or limited animation. That is commendable. Which brings us to the Igris fight, and boy was this insane. Right off the bat, the atmosphere was amazing. The entire room was 3D, which allowed the team to pull off shots like these and helped establish the vibe. Again, masterful storyboards/camera work. Igris's design was amazing, and it was 2D. Like I said, armor is difficult to draw. Just ask the AOT Season 3 team. All of those individual pieces need to move and be consistent, which makes a shot like this so impressive. Not only is the walk cycle smooth, the camera rotates around the legs, such an amazing way of introducing an opponent. And with that, the fight begins. The opening sequence is most likely animated by Takafumi Tori, a main animator. The Igris drawings look so beautiful. The 3-tone shading is perfect. More amazing camera work follows. The camera backs up quickly and Igris catches up to it, which gets the speed across. The 3D background helped with the camera movement. This fast motion is then contrasted by a couple of insanely well executed slow motion shots with these trailing red streaks. This shot is ridiculous. Remember what I said about rotations featuring armor being difficult? Now imagine that, but instead of the legs, the entire body and Sung's character rotates. Insane work. And to top it all off, Tori added these thick, inky smears. Love the way the camera follows the direction of the motion for a second before panning back to the focus. Wonderful build up and release here. They held on to this pose for around 18 frames, followed by a quick 3-frame release, accompanied by these distorted smears. This really sells the weight behind the blow. The way they used the 3D background was amazing. Sung getting thrown around felt powerful powerful and fast, as we could see the background flying by. We can see how far he is flung and how quickly Igris catches up, which adds a whole new layer to these scenes. Also, really cool first-person shot. The fact that Tori and every other animator involved managed to draw Igris so consistently and make it move is mind-blowing. One can only imagine how difficult it must have been. The 3D edit camera work never disappoints. The well-drawn armor alone would have been fun to look at, but the camera work made it better. Takafumi Tori's signature snappy animation was put on display in the form of a series of well-choreographed strikes. Loved the red and blue lightning, highlighting the color contrast between the two characters. Hajime Nakagawa's sequence follows, and a noticeable change in the style of shading can be seen. The ADs usually leave his drawings alone, and I'm glad they do. The loose style of shading looks amazing. Just like Tori, Nakagawa drew Igris really well. He is excellent at conveying a sense of weight. Even something as simple as Igris taking his cape off felt heavy. The camera pan helped with that. Ryota Saito's sequence was up next, and again, more amazing drawings. An accurate sense of speed and space can be conveyed thanks to the 3D backgrounds, and this cut is a perfect example of that. We can see how hard Sung gets thrown and how quickly Igris catches up. This can, however, be a limitation. These cuts, for example, need to convey a sense of continuous motion, which isn't possible when the space is limited. That's why they use speedline based backgrounds. They make the cuts last longer and therefore help them gain more energy. I might sound like a broken record here, but the storyboards were so good. They flowed incredibly well, and the subtle pans in the direction of the motion made the scenes feel volatile. And that brings us to Yoshihiro Kanno's work, which was unreal. It was everything I talked about up until now, but dialed up to 11. The 3D camera work, the choreography / flow, the amazing Igris drawings, and the heavy, energy-filled animation. This sequence had it all. Speaking of energy, look how powerful this exchange feels. Kanno has a flawless grasp over timing. He knows exactly how long he should hold on to a pose for. He contrasted this fast exchange with some well-placed slow-motion shots. Even the smoke was filled with energy. The 3D background allowed Kanno to do his own thing without any limitations. Brief tracking shots, rotations, the scene had it all. This was action animation of the highest level, no pun intended. The second half of his work was just as impressive. Also, as always, the camera briefly pans in the direction of the motion before returning to the original focus. Look at this pose. The low-angle shot with the energetic arc and the skewed perspective on the dagger looks brilliant. This shot was genius. The tracking shot of the legs as they go down the stairs was such a creative idea storyboard-wise. Many of these shots were close-ups, but they were not used as an animation shortcut. Instead, they helped convey a visceral, up-close and personal feel. And of course, we have this wonderful black, white and red sequence. These aren't impact frames, these are. Kanno managed to convey an absurdly large amount of energy through the intense body language and the loose line work. It feels like the final attack, if that makes sense. The rest of the episode contains some decent close quarters combat, but it's nothing extraordinary. And that was the episode. Absolutely incredible. Not only was the animation amazing, the storyboards, camera work, drawing consistency, not for you, and the choreography was phenomenal. One of the best action episodes in recent memory. And that just about does it. Liked the video? Check out this other bit of content on screen. Like and subscribe, and until next time.